So here we are then on the gates for the 450 heat number 1 here in Nashville. Hopefully we can have a good race. I was saying it was a relatively compact circuit. That sand section, of course, could catch a few people off guard there if they take the wrong line in. And of course, getting stopped after the whoops can always be a bit of a challenge sometimes. Here we are though, on the big boy bikes, trying to get it done. You can see the track obviously split the gates a little bit further wide than they normally are. So who's it going to be down to that inside? Those inside gates going to be even more preferential now this week. Let's see if they can make it work. Down go the gates then, and off we are here in Nashville for the start of the ARL SX Championship, round 14 here this week. Tyler J pulls that whole shot on the MXBMR KTM, a fantastic start there for himself. Looks like we've got Maverick on the Benetton KTM closing in for P2 and holds it there ahead of Alex on the Prestige bike. Looks like the Prestige bike didn't quite work, not entirely sure why. Not to worry though, is what it is. We're having a pretty decent start to the race here, not too many dead bikes. Unfortunately, Jez there in the pink breast cancer awareness gear has unfortunately got off to a poor start here, stuck right at the back of the pack. So back at the front there we have Tyler J leading just ahead of Maverick, and then of course we have Arcos coming in for P3 position just ahead of Dorian Merritt. Dorian then on that Mostra KTM, going to be looking to put some work in. Let's see if we can get onto the TV cam with him now as Arcos jumps down the inside trying to make a position work. They collide and unfortunately he goes off worse. Dorian then manages to keep the bike on two wheels and in one piece. That's what we like to see. Aiden there got some super colourful gear on here this week. Hopefully we can have a nice little bit of racing from there. See that gear a little bit more often. Up at the front of the pack, it looks like Tyler J is starting to walk away here at the front of the heat. It's just almost 3-second gap there now to the rest of the field, which is some fantastic work by anyone's means. Here we are though, Maverick sort of showing what I mean there though. That sound section will be tough. You can see the bikes closing in behind there. That's Dorian in P3 and Aiden for P4. Currently battling it out for that podium position then. Aiden trying to get a good drive, both bikes up and onto the table, just keeping it nice and steady here as you come up and over the finish jump now. Down the next rhythm. It's just going to be about making mistakes here for the front of the field. Don't forget, it's just the top 9 making it through, and it looks like Aiden's going to take P3 away from Dorian, but as long as Dorian gets back up, he should still be able to make it back up into that main event. Only around 3 bikes slipping on through there, so presumably down to around the P6 now after securing the position back ahead of Arcos. So great stuff there for himself. Dill Pickle then currently holding on for the P8 position, just behind the KDR KTM. But it's P9 AK333MX on the K-Dog KTM, who's looking to try and hold on to that transfer spot. You can see the bikes that are going to be taking that position away from him, or at least will be trying to be. Oh, right, hot on his heels here, both Exile and Keegs, trying to make something stick here tonight. Back up at the front of the field, we've got Maverick versus Genocide, it looks like. What happened to Maverick? Looks like they're battling out for P3 now, as Aiden takes P2 away from him. There's 8.7 second gap to Tyler J. Tyler J just really benefiting here from the mistakes of the bikes behind him. Maverick there with a little bit of a case. Looks like Genocide's going to try and close in on the Dill Pickle bike, but it's not quite going to happen just yet. Callum then on the Prestige bike trying to close his way in. It's going to be a tough squeeze though. Ah, makes sense, Coops, makes sense. Callum's keeping himself nice and steady here for the moment. He's trying to get past Genocide, of course. This is the fight for P4 on screen here at the moment. We're going to flick down and have a look towards the back of the pack here soon. Once this battle starts to open up a little bit, looks like Genocide's trying to get a drive here. Dill Pickle down the inside on the MXBMR Husqvarna. Looks like it's actually a KTM in the MXBMR white gear. So apologies there. Looking nice and smooth though as he stays ahead of Callum now. Lovely move indeed. Back down through the field just a little bit then. Arcos currently holding on to that P7 spot. P8 and 9 go to Dorian and AK333. It looks like we've got a pretty healthy gap there between AK and Jackalow in the P10 position. The RCG bike then looking to try and close up with the P9 bike ahead of him, but it's a pretty hefty gap there between the two of them. Roughly 9 seconds. Just over 10 now, according to that timing tree. Here we are then with Tyler J, the fastest on the field here at the moment. Absolutely storming here tonight on the pink and white gear. Looking very nice indeed. Supporting the good old Cancer Awareness Week. Don't forget to do ! charity in chat if you want to have a look at that and read a little bit more. For now though, we're keeping on nice and steady here. 50.215 is the fastest lap here from Tyler J, the current racing leader. He's led pretty much since the whole shot with almost no contention here. He's starting to come up to the tail of the pack now and of course get himself into a little bit of early traffic. Still a minute and a half on the clock. He doesn't really want to be mixing too hard. Hopefully we can get through without too many major issues. It looks like a 52.0 here from Raiden, so just a couple of seconds off the pace here compared to Tyler. 1.1 off here for Dill Pickle, so he's certainly a little bit faster than Aiden, at least on this particular heat. We'll see if that picks up, of course, during the main event, where the time will tell. Let's see though. Keeping it nice and steady. You can see just how fast Tyler J actually is around the circuit this week. A lot of other bikes put in 53s, 55s, 51s. There we have it, a 50.2 and a 51.8 on that previous lap. Let's see if we can try and get some more consistency here. You can see just almost no mistakes here so far from the racing leader. You can see he's coming into some blue flag traffic here. Keegs has come off, and Tyler J, again, good situational awareness, good racing experience there, has taught him he needs to slow down when he sees the bikes doing that. And luckily this time he manages to get the bike stopped enough for the other bike to crash on out of the way. For now though, he keeps maintaining that lead. 30 seconds on the clock. We're going to have a little look at the P9 and 10 position, see how that's getting on. Arcos here. Who is that behind him? If that's Jacklo, this could be game over. It was Jacklo on the RCG KTM. He's had a bit of a mistake of his own though. Looking to try and close up with that P9 transfer position now. Of course, if he's P10 or worse, he's going to go to that LCQ. And gets to try again for the main. But of course, 22 bikes in the LCQ. Just going for that top 4 spot as opposed to top 20. Going for the top 9. Keeping himself reasonably steady here though as he tries to close in with the back of AK. It looks like actually Arcos has a bit of a penalty, which is definitely going to cost him some time. And actually somehow Jacklo's up into the P8 position now. P9 of course. Wait, hang on, I'm so confused. Arcos is P10. Jez now takes the P9 position then. Jacklo holding on for the P8 spot then. Jeremy getting very, very tight here as we get into closing stages then. So Jez holds in at that hot seat. Can he find his way up and into the top of the field and get his way into that main event here at the end of the race? Of course, we've just got one lap remaining to find out. Let's see if he can pull it off. We'll go over with the leader though and see how that's getting on. And what's happened here? There's a bit of a moment. Dorian got collected there. Dorian, of course, up in the P5 spot. Going to be losing a position or two there, but thankfully not losing the transfer windows just yet. Jez and Arcos having a fantastic battle here. But does that mean this is the fight for P10? No, this is in fact the fight for P9. Looking nice and smooth. Arcos is down. Jez is having a spin, and Maverick gets through on the Benetton Racing KTM for P9 on the 981 bike. He's going to be looking to try and secure that position, and let's pray he doesn't have any penalties. He may be able to pull this off. One lap to go then for him. Tyler J then coming up and over the finish line here though to finish the race in P1, as he's come to expect here on the circuit. The 450 rider just dominating week after week. A 15-second gap here to Dill Pickle. Dill Pickle then looking to try and close up that gap just a little bit here, but it's not going to matter too much. We'll still take a P2 and we'll still say thank you very much. MXBMR boys looking nice and clean here tonight. Aiden here just to try and lock down that podium for the team. The third KTM across the line here tonight. Genocide takes P4 just ahead of Callum by a hair there. We have Dorian for P6. Jacklo should be coming in for P7, but it looks like he's had a bit of a moment. AK then will take that P7 spot on the track. Jacklo will hold on to P9 presumably for the moment. I think Jamie's a lap down, so it's going to be between Jez and Maverick, of which it looks like Maverick on the Benetton Racing KTM should take this position home, barring any penalties. Let's see what he can get. He does manage to make it through the Benetton KTM then by the skin of his teeth there. Literally a tenth of a second after his penalty. He was very, very lucky boy indeed. For now though, your top 3, Tyler J, Dill Pickle and Aiden, and then Genocide, Callum, Dorian, Jacklo, AK and Maverick will make their way through up and into the main event. Everyone else of course going to the LCQ, but us, we're going to have a quick look at the lap times, and then we're headed over to the 250 Showdown LCQ to see the back of the pack for the East and the West, see who can pick their way up into the mains. For now though, Tyler J, a 50.215 and a 50.4 there from Dill Pickle. Very nice times indeed across the board. We've got 52s and 53s and 54s basically solid throughout the rest of the pack, but those 50s staying clear of the field there by almost 2 seconds. In Nashville, ready for round 14. This is the 250 Showdown LCQ. A mix of riders in here from both the East and the West, looking to try and fight it out for the top 4 spots now to make it through for the 250 main event shortly afterwards. For now though, we're on the gates here in Nashville. Who's it going to be? Down to that whole shot. Nice wide gates this week, like we mentioned earlier on in the first heat. There we go, though. Down they go, and off to a pretty decent start. We've got a Husqvarna cutting across the field there to try and find its way onto the inside line. Gets it done pretty well there, actually. That's enjoy on the ARL SX Husky. But Frankelek there on the JPR KTM, though, takes the whole shot and the lead with the racing start. We've got Billy then in P2 on the ADT Co KTM. Looking like he's looking pretty nice and pink here this evening. That's what we like to see on the Cancer Awareness Week. Enjoy there going down, an unfortunate end to his great start. Frankelek then having a pretty decent run here. Currently holding on to that racing lead here for the 250 LCQ. Don't forget, it is just the top 4 that are going to make it through up and into the main event here tonight. Frankelek and Billy trying to keep their way nice and steady here. Lanson holding on tight. Good fight then for those top few spots. Let's have a little look at those as we see what develops here at the start of the race. Just 4 minutes left on the clock, of course. Short and sweet, these LCQs. You've got to really get that throttle twisted around, and any mistakes could ruin your chances. What up, Larson? How we getting on, my man? Hope you're having a nice night. For now, though, Frankelek leads with a 1.1 second gap there between himself and the ADT Co. Oh, hello. KTM's coming up for a little bit of a fight. Unfortunately, he loses the battle, and Frankelek still maintains a pretty decent lead here. Currently, Lanson down the inside, though, on the ETO Racing KTM. Tries to make the position work, and it looks like it might just stick as we come down onto that start straight once again. Looking nice and smooth here, then, for the ETO KTM. He takes the position away, and we'll hold on to it for the moment. Of course, this is the fight for P3 or 4. This is the top 4 here on screen at the moment, sorry. Of course, the leader is Lanson. Then we have Frankelek in P3. We got Hawkey for P3. Hang on, no. Sorry, I'm lying to you. Lanson for P1, Frankelek for P2, Hawkey for P3, and HM currently holding on to the P4 position with a little bit of a gap there between himself and Jay Talent on the Oblivion KTM. Talent, of course, trying to close his way back up onto the back of that bike now to squeeze his way into the main event here a little later on tonight. For now, they're back up with the racing leaders as we have Frankelek having a tough time through the whoops. They're losing a lot of time. HM finding his way through, putting Frankelek down to presumably P3 or 4. Looks like P4 is the situation there as Hawkey tries to close in with Lanson for the racing lead here. A nice bit of a battle here then for the race graphics team. Are LCQs staggered? No, so all the LCQs are running at the same time, the 250 and the 451. So the 451 is currently going on in the background. However, the main events are staggered. So the 250 race shall come first, and then it will be the 450 race. For now, though, Lanson's had a huge crash there on the ETO bike and lost a couple of positions. Jay Talon finding his way up into the fight for P4. Unfortunately, does come off the track there, and I believe it's Woodland that ends up in the P4 transfer position. Then on the Vertex KTM, having a tough time through this particular rhythm section, but hopefully he can keep himself on the top spot there. Jay Talon having a bit of a questionable entry line there as he goes far and fast on the outside of the track there. Thankfully, it has a bit of a collision with Woodland, and also, thankfully, it doesn't seem to have impacted the Vertex bike. And Woodland manages to maintain his position. Yeah, be alright, yeah, be alright. Get your LCQs done, make it into the mains, top 4, of course. Just getting their way through. Frankelek, though, 3 seconds now off the back of Hawkey. Hawkey, though, on the Race Graphics KTM, looking to try and keep himself nice and steady. Definitely need to get his bike in, because his kit's looking very nice. Now they're around the outside, looking nice and tidy as we come tripling our way into this next rhythm section. Just keeping it steady. That's all we need here in the LCQ. No mistakes. Thank you very much. Go to 4th in Heat 1. 450 have ruined you. Oh, no. Terrible. It happens. It happens. Got 5th, though. We'll take 5th. Frankelek there having a bit of a moment of his own. Like I say, in these LCQs, really can't be making these kind of mistakes. Just one mistake like that can lead into all sorts of Barboso-related issues. And it can really spoil your chances at the LCQ. Luckily for Frankelek, he's held on to the P2 position for now, but Lanson is closing in on the ETO Racing KTM. He's holding P3. That makes this the battle for P2. And it's just beginning. Have a quick look at Woodland here. Looks like he's got himself a pretty comfortable couple of seconds there between himself and Billy. So back up. Lanson's had a tough time through the sand section there. Vertex bike collects him. Billy may be able to secure P4 here, and Lanson is P5 and in the danger zone. Jay Talon around the outside of him, trying to make something stick. Unfortunately, both bikes running it wide and off the circuit there. That's going to put them all but out of their runnings if they're not careful. Billy then on the ADT Co KTM, keeping himself nice and solid. Hopefully doesn't land too nose down while I'm mentioning him. We hate when the commentator's curse happens, but he's having a nice race here so far. Leapasek. I didn't even know Leapasek was in here. He's P11. What's Leapasek doing in the LCQ? What's happened tonight? Deary me. Have a little look at Lipo, shall we? For now, though, we've got Billy and Woodland. This is the fight for P3. I do want to have a little spectator-rini of this first. As Billy tucks down the inside line for P3. Woodland trying to get the good drive on the outside line. Can he triple it? Yes, he can. Back down the inside, though, for Billy with a triple to finish off the section. What a fantastic battle here, then, between the P3 and 4 KTMs here on the field. Don't forget, like I say, if either of these two bikes make a mistake and Lanson finds their way through, the one that comes off worse is going to be losing their position in the main event. It's going to be very, very tight stuff indeed here as we come onto the final lap then now. Keeping themselves nice and steady. For now, though, I'll have a little look at Hawkey. He looks like he's got roughly half a lap or so, so I can have a quick little look at Lipo, see what's going on here with the TSEZ boy. What has happened to you, Lipasek, all the way down in P10 in the LCQ. He's had a tough night here so far in Nashville. Hopefully we don't see that continue throughout the rest of the season. Oh, he's just about missing Enjoy there. Just about. Here we go, though, with Hawkey keeping himself as stable as can be. Into the triple section we go. Into the triple section? Yeah, what a brain. Triple our way onto the table is what I was meant to say. No idea how I got it quite so wrong, but there you go. Hawkey, though, across the line. Will take P1 here in Nashville for the 250 Showdown LCQ. Frank Lake then presumably going to secure that P2 spot. He's got himself a healthy gap front and rear. Billy then going to be taking P3 on the ADT Co KTM after a last minute couple of scraps. And Hawkey is just standing on the finish line. I'm not sure what's going on there. But Lanson takes a P4 just ahead of Tommy Wack there. And he will be making his way up and through into the main event here later tonight. For now, though, we're going to watch the rest of the bikes come on through. Liebsek takes a P8 there, managing to grab a last couple of minute positions. Gorban Adam, P9 and 10. Enjoy there, takes P11. Emmett Morrow for P12. Diego will take P13. Or no, he won't because he's retired. So Porter then will take P13 as it stands. And we're having a nice little bit of a race here for ourselves here this evening. Hawkey, though, Frankelek, Billy and Lanson. We will see you in the 250 mains in just a few minutes. For now, though, let's have a quick look at the lap times. 53.2, so certainly no slouches here in the field at all for the 250 crowd. Let's get on over then to the main race. We are here, though, on the gates. Oh, hello, laggy frame rate. Come back. There you go. Back up. There we go. We've got the frame rate back. It's okay. Double check the stream's doing good. We are doing good. How is everyone? Are we ready for the race? Lots and lots of pin gear here this evening, which is nice to see. Supporting that Breast Cancer Awareness Week. You know, exclamation mark. Charity in the chat if you want to find out some more about that. We're supporting Macmillan Cancer Support here in the UK. But anyways, we're here then on the gates, the 250 East-West Showdown. Chicken, big shout out to Chicken for doing the East and West annotation for us so we can remember which rider comes from which coast. Here we are, though, on those gates. The revs are up. Let's get this underway here in Nashville. The gates are down and we're away. A lot of bikes here getting a fantastic start, particularly Neon here on the East Coast. JP Designs KTM keeping himself solid and pulling out the whole shot there. We've got Yoku, though, the West Coast rider, taking the racing lead there after Neon goes down. The Prestige KTM then off to a fantastic start. Valentin on the Aero X. Husqvarna keeping great as well there in the P2 position. It's Frankelek versus Jenkins for P3, and it's going to be Jenkins and then Finn for P3 and 4. The TSEZ bike making his way through, keeping nice and solid there down the inside line. It's going to continue to try and do exactly that throughout the rest of the race. You can see good consistency from the riders here. Of course, theoretically, the top of the top from both coasts. Yoki here keeping a lovely, solid lead there ahead of Valentin. Valentin holding on a demanding gap there between himself and Finn. Finn, of course, going to be looking to try and close that up as soon as possible. Let's get this camera set back and underway. A big crash there, piling up in the back of the first corner. Definitely not an ideal situation there for these guys. Cloud in a bit of a midfield here, as well as Vepi on the Ridge MX Honda here, trying to make his way up and through the field. It's going to be a tough fight, though. Up here at the front, Yoku goes off on the Prestige KTM. Disaster strikes. A little bit of a collection there between Yoku and Steiner. Hopefully we don't see too much drama happen there. Valentin, though, on the Aero X Husqvarna takes a demanding lead there with a 2.2 second gap to Finn, of course, on the TSEZ Productions Husqvarna, looking to try and close in on his fellow East Coast rider. Used to fighting him most weeks, as well as Neon there on the JP Designs KTM, trying to close in. He's currently holding on P3 with just 3 seconds to the leader. Finn down a tight inside line there, trying to make it stick on the Husqvarna here tonight. Doing great stuff indeed. Doing it for the bananas. Let's go. That's what we like to see. Finn though, looking to try and close in. Valentin having a little bit of a tough time through the whoop section here. Can he get the bike stopped and turned around? Not quite in time there as he comes side by side now with Finn. Gets the power on the exit though and should be securing his position back up in the P1 spot then for the moment. Finn though, of course, going to be sniffing at his heels here. Just 13 minutes remaining on the clock as Finn takes a dive down the inside. Tries to have a look down and get a peek through. Just can't quite outdrive the Husqvarna in front of him though. Both riders putting on a fantastic show here so far tonight. We've got Hawkey, the first rider in the west side. He's holding on very nicely for P4 overall. Keeping himself as solid as he can for the moment. Nice and stable over the table. Finn versus Valentin though is opening up right again. Look at this gap. Not opening up, closing down is the word I'm looking for. A fantastic battle though. Valentin cutting off his pace just a little bit as Finn flies on by the inside, snatching away his chances at P1 for the meantime. Valentin though, of course, on the ARL SX Husqvarna, looking to try and close that gap right back up. Now he's got someone to chase. He can really dig his teeth in here tonight. Tries to reach out for that big triple. A little bit of a case though. Costs him the opportunity to overtake, at least for the moment. Neon then closing in on the JP Designs KTM, trying to make something stick down the inside of the ARL SX Husky. We know that Valentin's strong on this outside line. Can he get a good drive? It's going to be down to this next left-hand corner that's going to decide it. It looks like Neon's going to take the position though. Grabs that inside line. Lovely stuff then from the JB KTM. Valentin down the inside, trying to make something stick once again. We're still side by side. This is the fight for P2, don't forget. P1 is just in front of him. Neon here coming now for that P1 position that we just spoke of, around the outside of Finn, trying to make something stick. Can't quite open the door just yet. He's going to try and work to get his foot in another point in the race. Potentially here later in the lap. He's going to have a look down the inside of this next corner. You watch him get on the brakes. It's not going to happen. Maybe not, maybe not. Just taking a second. Getting comfortable here, back again on the bike. And get pushing once again. A little bit of a missed corner there. Keeps a good pace though here on the KTM. Finn, of course, looking to try and stay as defensive as possible and try and open that gap up as much as we can nice and early on. Just under 11 minutes then here on the board. Let's have a little scroll on through the field. We've got Finn, of course, leading, Neil for P2 and Valentin for P3. That's the podium rounded off by the East Coast. Hawkey then, like I say, the fastest of the West Coast riders here so far, and Yoku not too far behind him, just a few seconds off the pace there on the Prestige KTM, looking to try and close that gap back up after that crash early on in the race. Of course, we've got Reapadot closing in there on the East Coast. Honda looking to try and make something stick here. He's currently P6 on the field, so a great start here for the Doc. He's going to be looking to try and hopefully stay nice and consistent. Marshall then just behind on the Race Graphics KTM. Looking nice and pink again here tonight. Lovely stuff here. Jenkins keeping a solid position. Franklek up here in the top 10. There's P9. We've got Steiner for P10 on the AMX, or the AM Husqvarna rather. Missing one of his sponsors because of the annotation. It is what it is. For now though, Neon closes right back onto the back of Finn now, just 6/10 according to the previous timing gate. It looks to be closer than that still as we come around the outside line now for the JP Designs KTM. He tries to triple on in and tries to pull out those big lines out of his pocket. Is it going to be enough to catch up with Finn in this straight? It does close that gap right back up. It could be an interesting strategy to deploy a little later on in the race, but unfortunately misses that inside right just a little bit there. He's painfully getting caught on the second. Gets a decent enough drive down the whoops to keep up with the back of Finn, at least for the moment, but it's 8/10 now separating the two riders and 5 seconds to P3. These two absolutely storming here tonight. Let's have a little look at their lap time, shall we? 51.587 there on lap 5 from Finn, and Neon running a 51.423, so just a hair faster over the course of the fastest lap. Let's see if he can continue to keep good consistency and make the most of that. Valentin running a 53.3, just a little bit off the pace there, and 53.4 from Hawkey. Neon and Finn then. Definitely the two with the serious pace here this evening. Neon then trying to make something stick here on that JP Designs KTM. Finn though is not showing him any signs of a mistake. Showing absolutely no signs of weakness here as he tries to just stick on that defensive line. He's got to keep an eye on that blue flag bike just up in front now. Of course, we're catching up with the tail of the pack here now. Starting to develop a bit of complexity now in the battle as we obviously have to get through this traffic without hindering our own battle. For now though, Neon to the outside, Finn to the inside. Thankfully the blue flag bike lets them through. Always nice to see the blue flag being respected, especially when it comes down to the battle for the lead. Finn here though, keeping very, very solid. Like I say, showing absolutely no signs of mistakes. Just Just trying to keep it nice and tidy. Oh, a little bit of a case there over the table. This is the commentator's curse, but thankfully he keeps on top of it. 6/10 then between himself and Neon, and a traffic bike in between. Billy here having to cause Neon to slow up just a little bit, unfortunately. The JP Designs KTM are going to be looking to try and make a nice clean move here soon. And get straight back into that P2 position in the fight for P1 again. There we go, gets past the lapper, lovely stuff. Hopefully he can close that gap up. It's 1.9 now between himself and Finn. That's a real serious gap there, especially when it comes down to this TSCZ Husqvarna in the top of the field. Shows some serious dominance throughout most of the season, keeping himself very, very solid indeed. 51.5 is his best lap there, 53.7 on that previous. Looks like Neon had a tough time there with a 55. Like I say, that traffic really, really coming into play at this point in the moto. That's going to allow P3 and 4 to catch up. If Valentin and Hawkeye can keep themselves nice and solid, they may be able to fight out for the P1 position if the traffic keeps holding up the leading two. Valentin trying to keep himself nice and stable. Have a little look at where Reaperdoc is. He's currently holding on 18.5 seconds off the leader, but he's holding on P5. So a fantastic start there for himself with 6.5 minutes on the clock. He's looking pretty comfortable here this evening. Let's have a little look at those lap times, shall we? 52.664, which is actually faster than both Hawkeye and Valentin, and could definitely be looking at a podium here this evening, as long as he can keep that consistency tight. He's got to get out of his own head there. A little case there, can't let it upset him. As long as he keeps himself nice and steady, we could see a Reaperdoc on the podium. Marshall and Yoku having a great battle here as well. This is the fight for P6 just behind Reaperdoc. Unfortunately, Yoku does go down and stops us from being able to see a cool battle. How dare you? Looks like Frank Leck's coming in then on the other West Coast bike, trying to close his way back on in. Yoku and Frank Leck putting up a great battle here though. This is for P2 in the West Coast, of course. P6 overall. Unfortunately, Yoku goes down again. He's just struggling there with the consistency of this evening. Frank Leck loses some time and therefore speed as a result. Not Valentin, sorry. Who am I talking about? I have no idea. I lost it completely. It was Frank Leck, that's what I was talking about. We're doing alright. Finn, though, down to P2 with a 1.8 second gap to Neon. Looks like he must have had some kind of mistake. Neon, though, relatively slow in front now due to the blue flag bike up ahead, rather. Finn down to the inside. Neon round to the outside looking for that big scoopy drive to get the entry triple. Absolutely lovely stuff there for the JP Designs rider. Getting that big line dialed in. Keeping it very, very tidy ahead of the TSCZ Husky. But Finn, of course, not one to shy away from a battle. We'll continue to push. We'll continue to put pressure here on to the back of the KTM ahead. Reminder, they still score points for P4 if the first West Coast finish rider finishes P4. Yes, we get that. But, you know, it's still like, I like to separate them in my head. Always handy to point out, I suppose. For now, though, the battle for P1 is back on. There's no lappers between them now as Finn stares at the back of that JP Designs KTM. And Neon has a little bit of breathing room ahead now to try and extend a bit of a gap. Neon down to the or Finn rather down to the inside. Neon always going for that big triple scoop there. And it always seems to pay off. Keeping that gap nice and tidy ahead of Finn here for the moment. Finn, though, does seem to be slightly faster over that second half of the lap. See how tight we come here. Both riders taking a relatively wide line there off the whoops. Each, of course, wanted to try and keep good momentum. Finn down the inside, showing Neon that he's still there. He's still there and keeping that pressure right onto the back of that bike. Neon then on the outside line, losing a little bit of time now to Finn. Finn down the inside on the TSCZ Husky, tries to get that front wheel inside, just can't quite come alongside just yet, but he's almost there. Couple more scrubby jumps and who knows, he's going to take the inside line here. Neon to the outside again for the big triple. Doesn't get it and he goes over the bars. Finn then takes the lead here with 3.5 minutes to go. And looks like that's a pretty promising sign. Barring any major mistakes, we could be seeing the race win decided there. Neon, though, of course, going to be trying everything in his power to not make that true. 3.5 seconds is the gap to Finn there after that mistake. Let's see if he can close it down. For now, though, back with Valentin It looks like he's got a decent gap here between himself and the leaders, but also between himself and Reaper there in P4. So holding on to a pretty comfortable podium, barring any major mistakes, just 9 seconds ahead of the P4 white. In fact, that changes. It goes to 11. Hawkeye must have had a tough race there. Keeping himself as stable as we can through the whoops. Again, it's really tough to get yourself stopped there, and you can see Reaper right onto the back of Hawkeye now, looking to try and take that position away. Let's see if he can close that gap up. The Race Graphics KTM, though, is currently P4. Hawkeye here, trying to represent for the West Coast. Nice and solid there. Reaper though just scrubbing the life out of the Honda behind him, trying to make any opportunity stick. Hawkeye there a little bit wide. That's going to cost him a penalty or two. Reaper losing a little bit of time through that rhythm section. They do collide. Hawkeye goes down and Reaper stays up, but has to go off track to compensate. Again, at risk of the penalty there. Hopefully we don't see too many things. Safety East Coast to Bear Coast. East Coast is definitely the faster coast. That is what seems to be quite clear. But look at this pack between the West Coast boys. They're very, very tight together, you know. Whereas the East Coast guys, Finn and Neon especially, just kind of seem to have waltzed away. Valentin there starting to stretch that gap up as well. Neon's made a few mistakes that have cost him a lot of time, unfortunately. Keeping himself solid. We're going on the outside of Steiner here now, trying to make it stick. It's a fight for position actually between these guys. It's a fight for P4 between Reaper and Steiner. Can he find his way through? Who was that going off and wide at the outside? Not 100% sure. I think it was Lanson. Laurent Demo down the inside of Reaper trying to unlap himself here at the moment. Of course, he is a blue flag bike, so he's going to have to give way again. And does so there to the East Coast Honda. Keep it nice and steady. Steiner here is the fight for P4. Like I say, they're keeping it nice and toasty here between the two, and it looks like Steiner may have a slight bit of a penalty, which is costing him the position according to that timing board. Of course, if Reaper can just stay close enough, he knows he can have that P4 position. Although, of course, if he can get past P4, he's got a chance of potentially closing up with those leading three. He's currently run a 55.3 on that last lap. Steiner goes down, Reaper through them for P4. And that's the position down on track as well. 52.664 is his best. Valentin at 53 and a 51.4 there from Neon. So Reaper, like I say, potentially with a chance of getting that podium, provided he can get those laps right. For now though, Neon keeping nice and solid pace here. Unfortunately, a couple of mistakes on the last couple of laps by the looks of it. But the last lap there, the 52.2, certainly not bad at all. Coming on to our final couple of laps now then. As Finn leads with a 10.5 second gap here between himself and Neon down in P2. The East Coast Husqvarna then keeping himself very, very solid. The TSCZ team are going to be very happy with the performance as usual, I'm sure. Neon there just kind of messing the corner up just a little bit. Unfortunately, it was enough to cost him a big, big crash there. A bit of the commentator's curse, I'm sure, getting mixed into things. Unfortunately, that opens that gap up just a little bit more between himself and Finn. It does, however, mean that Valentin is not too far off the back of him now, just a few seconds back. We could potentially see a bit of a battle there develop. We've got Steiner is just behind Reaper. I thought it was just ahead of Marshall. Looks like Marshall's a little bit further back. Steiner, of course, sitting on that nasty penalty. It's going to give him elusive positions according to the timing tree. For now though, Reaper is onto the back of Hawkeye. Hawkeye currently holding the P4 position on the Race Graphics KTM, just ahead of the RD Honda. We've got Steiner here on the Ace Moto Husqvarna, keeping himself nice and steady. So it's a three-way battle. Steiner down the inside of Reaper, pushing him down once again into P6 on the track. Like we say, he's maintaining that P5 position though, as a result of Steiner's personal penalty. The situation he wants. Steiner getting all sorts of sideways there. Absolutely no idea how he brought that one back. Reaper though down the inside. Steiner cases it. He's going to take P4 then on the Honda. Hawkeye will secure P5 for the moment. Steiner though down the inside to try and challenge that. Looks like Hawkeye's going to run it wide here, trying to look for a good drive down this whip section then. Let's see if he can get it, Steiner, down the inside line. Oh shit, I missed the finish. We got Finn here in the P1 spot. He's taken the lead and the win, as we kind of expected there. He wasn't going to let that gap close up anytime soon. Neon then for P2, and Valentin finishes up P3 on the ARL SX Husqvarna. We've got Reaperdoc then, presumably going to be taking P4 as we come across the line here very, very shortly. The final corner coming up now. Just about grab that inside rut, nice and steady. Hawkey to the outside, trying to get a good drive. It's not going to be enough to close up with the Honda though, as Reaperdoc takes P4, Hawkey for P5, Frankelek for P6. Steiner then, after a last couple of crashes, Yoki will take P8. Steiner will secure P9. That is very unfortunate to see. We got a bump then here on the Prestige KTM. A nice effort there, up and in the top 10. That's what we like to see. But East Coast locking down the top 4. And to be fair, West Coast taking the next top 4. With even tighter gaps. So like I say, the battles in West Coast can get very, very intense. But the East Coast do seem to be the faster of the two, as evidenced by this evening. Excuse me, need a quick drink. Let's have a slurp. Alrighty, we'll be alright for now then. Let's have a little look at the 250 lap time. See who was the quickest on the board. It was actually Neon there with the 51.423 on the 5th lap, just as he was chasing Finn there with a 51.587. Just fractions of a second there between the two riders. You can see a second's faster though than Pump though, the fastest of the West Coast. Pump of course on that Prestige KTM at doing nice and solid. Reaperdoc, I think he picked up, what, it was a P4 in the race, P5 in fastest lap, so that's what we like to see. For now though, let's get back on over. We've got the 450 race coming up in just a moment. Don't be going anywhere. Nice to see some pink bikes, like we say, for the Cancer Awareness Week. Good old exclamation mark charity in the chat. Nightbot puts it up every now and then. You can find up some more info there. For now though, we are on the starting gates. The revs are up. The gates are going to drop any second here in Nashville for round 14 of the 450 Supercross here in the EU. Let's get it going. Down go the gates and off we go. Who's going to be down to that hole shot? Looks like a fantastic start for the two Husqvarnas here on the inside line. That's Dill Pickle and Linz. Linz coming through there on the FXR Husky. Doesn't quite... Oh, he does actually grab it. Just fractions of a second there ahead of Dill Pickle for the hole shot, securing the racing lead that goes with it. Oh, hello, bit of a network lag thing going on here, and a big crash there in the main field. Certainly not what I was expecting to see there at this point in the race, but there you go. It happens sometimes. Let's get over to those TV cams then and see just what's going on here. Linzen in that top spot, holding on for the P1 position with a 1.5 second gap roughly between himself and Maverick. Dorian then taking P2 just ahead of Maverick on the Benetton Racing KTM, and it looks like Rubes on the MXB Mods KTM is going to be looking to try and close that gap up, but for now, like I say, Lynn's leading with a 2.9 second gap it's opened up to now. The Benetton KTM having a bit of a tough time there as Rubes sails on through. It looks like Dorian was tough there as well. So Rubes up to P2 then, I believe. Doing very, very nice. Tonka having a tough time here through this particular rhythm section. Like I say, these 450s, elbows are out in this field here tonight. Everyone's trying to want to try and do well. Let's see what we can do. Jake down the inside, trying to keep it nice and steady. Back up here at the front of the field, we've got Maverick versus Dill Pickle is beginning to happen. And that's the fight for P4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. May well be the fight for P3 though. We shall find out in just a memento. Where is Maverick? Maverick is behind him, so yes. No, yeah, Maverick's P3, sorry. My apologies. My apologies. This is the fight for P3. Breezy's trying to come in there as well to make this a 3-bike battle now. 2 KTMs and a Husky. In fact, no, 3 KTMs. I'm lying to you. The MXBMR KTM always does confuse me. Got Tyler Prado to win. We shall see, we shall see. He's had a tough start here. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Where is he? All the way down through the field. Currently holding on to... I can't even read. Where is he? P21 according to that previous timing. Getting a tough time there on the MXBMR KTM. So yeah, nearly said Husqvarna again, but it is the KTM, of course. We'll see if he can climb his way up through the field. He's got basically 18 minutes to do so. I'm sure we'll see him back up at least in the top 10, if not up there in the top 5 once again. For now though, Linz is cooking something special up here at the start of the moto. 10 seconds to P2 on the FXR G Fuel Husqvarna. Off to an absolutely fantastic start then here this week for the number 35 bike. He's going to be keeping that pace nice and steady now. As we know, usually a relatively consistent rider when he puts his mind to it. As long as we don't get caught up in the lappers too early on, it should be okay, but you can see they're not too far ahead. Not too far ahead at all. Whereas 99 teams, he's got 1 million teams. All the teams. Rubes there having a lovely run through the whoops, getting it stopped, absolutely nailed it for the corner there. Lovely stuff. You can see that gap's opened up just a little bit to Dill Pickle behind. Dill Pickle, though, of course, trying to close that gap right back up now. See if he can make something stick. He's trying the inside line on the sand here to try and save a little bit of time. On the outside, or the central line rather, sorry, for these 450s it seems. Keeping it nice and steady here for the MXBMR team. Of course, he's trying to close up there to the back of Rubes. Let's have a little look back, shall we? Oh, Maverick's had a huge crash there on the Benetton Racing KTM just as we flicked over to him as the commentator's curse strikes yet again. Back up with the 5 for P2 though briefly. It looks like Dill Pickle's closed that gap right back up to Rubes here now. Looking very, very nice for both MXB Mods racing bikes. Keeping it stable and smooth here to come up and over the Soupy Triple, down into that sand section, a long, rough sand section here this week. Definitely got to make sure you get your entry line right, otherwise it will punish you and it will punish you hard. And the outside for Dill Pickle there as he just about misses that inside rut. Keeping himself stable, those who do so. Scrubbing over the finish. Close that gap right up now to the KTM ahead. Over the triple we go. Of course on the 450 it's absolutely no worries, just a breeze. Got to keep it sensible, got to keep the heads short and sharp. Here we go though, Dill Pickle trying to make a move down as we come and lining up for the inside section of the whoops. Can he get it stopped in time for the corner and get alongside though? It doesn't look like it. Rubes keeps that preferential line, holding on to the position for the moment. Dill Pickle with the big triple. Rubes is going to go hard to the inside to defend, but it's not going to be enough there as Dill Pickle on his KTM makes his way through up in to P2. Lovely stuff indeed there. Rubes going to be straight back onto the offensive, but for now we'll have a little look at Aiden versus Jake, which is the battle developing in the fight for P4 here. Jake around the outside on the AJP KTM, around the outside of his teammate then, gets it done. Aiden trying to fight his way back on through on the number 27 KTM. Not going to be easily done though. Of course Jake is keeping a pretty decent consistent line here, at least for the moment. Let's see if that continues for the rest of the race. For now, let's have a little flick on through the field, shall we? Tyler J, I said he'd be up to at minimum the top 10, if not the top 5. He's all the way into P10 already. Just overtaken, or alongside P9 rather, as Pat Sheehan tries to scrub his way alongside the other KTM in the fight for his life here. It's Tyler J to the outside now, trying to cut underneath. Nearly gets it done, gets a decent drive, down the whoops we go, trying to come alongside, he gets it done. This corner is going to be a tough one to secure the position on. The front end is collided with, and down he goes, stays in P10 for the moment though. Callum obviously trying to contend that position now. Prestige KTM trying to close his way back on in. It looks like Pat Sheehan's had a bit of a Tyler J collection event there. Certainly not what he was wanting to go there. Neither rider coming off anywhere near as good as they were hoping to. A few bikes getting through as a result now, and Tyler J's got more work to go before we see him up there anywhere near the front of the field. For now though, 13 seconds is the gap to the leader. Linz absolutely cooking even as he goes through the other riders here. OT looking very, very spicy this week. Look at that here. That's some very cool stuff. Linzo making his way through that traffic. You can see how he just kind of glides on through. Let's have a little look at these lap times, shall we? A 49.9 there on lap 4 with a 51.5 on the previous lap just completed. 51, 52, 49, 50, 50. Staying very, very consistent here then for the FXR rider. He's going to be super happy with that. Let's see if he can continue to hold on to that for the rest of the race. You can see Dill Pickle again, incredible consistency, just shy of the pace, just a hair. We'll see if he can catch up though. His last couple of laps are a little better than Lindsay's last couple of laps, so we shall see, we shall see. For now, Jake, a 50.6 and a 50.9 on the last lap. He is absolutely moving. Again, just got to keep that pace up if he wants any chance of catching up with the leading two. That's getting treating you getting EU GPs. Yeah, I saw some of it. I saw some of it. Don't you worry. We got him around the outside here now of Mix, trying to get the position done past the X-Screwed bike. Does it. Ninja there up in front. Gets him done as well here on the outside. Ninja though trying to put a good bit of defensive line, but just can't quite solidify it there on the Husky. Tyler there makes his way by. Here we go. Currently P14 now. After all of that drama, it's Pat Sheehan up in front again. At the bike he was battling for P9. He gives him a shunt in the same place that Pat gave him a shunt. A little bit of a revenge elbow there. bike coming off too badly though. Tyler J ultimately gets that position back and done. 51.794 then is his best lap so far. Of course, you can see definitely struggling for the optimum pace here in the midfield. A lot of traffic to climb through, and a lot of bikes that know they're fighting for position and do not want to give it up. A tough line there as we come up and over the finish jump rather. Sorry. Lynn's down the inside. It's just lapped Tyler J. That's not something you see every day. Tyler J, though, of course, fighting absolutely everything he's got here to stay unlapped. Let's see if he can keep that position for now. It looks like he's going to have to let Lynn's through here, though. He does so. That's Kavana going through, still maintaining that lead with a dominant gap. Look at that. 16.882 is the gap between Lynn's and the rest of the field. And a fantastic ride here tonight in Nashville. He's definitely feeling comfortable on that Husqvarna. Tyler J, though, back down the inside, of course, hungry to unlap himself. Eager to show that he's also got the pace to be up there. Of course, we know he does. It's just been getting stuck. It's a great little bit of a battle we've got developing here. It's a bit of an unorthodox one, and hopefully it doesn't come to Lynn's downfall. It looks like it kind of has, though. A bit of a moment there. Thankfully it wasn't due to collision between the two bikes. It was an unforced error. That is not super great for Lynn's, but he keeps a very hefty gap here between himself and Dill Pickle. It looks like 21 seconds even after that minor mistake, so no big deal then for the FXR G Fuel Husqvarna. Jake and Dill Pickle are battling it out here for the P2 position now between the MXPMR bike and the JP Designs bike just behind. Or the AJP bike, sorry, rather, just behind. My apologies. Pickle there down the inside line, of course, on his KTM. We've got Tomko here, the blue flag bike, we're hoping he gives way to Jake here. Does seem to be the situation. He's keeping tight to the inside and taking a nice slow line. That's what we like to see. Jake getting a nice drive here then as he tries to go around the outside of Mixed now. Through and past the blue flag we go. And the battle remains between Jake and Dill Pickle then. Just roughly a second between the two riders here at the moment. We'll come back to that in just a few moments then. For now, though, Aiden and Rubes is getting very close as well here. That's what we like to see here. Vadim there on the Yamaha, trying to pick up the lines, pick up the pace here of the leading pack. Of course, hopefully it doesn't battle those leading bikes too much. But, I mean, it's hard not to, isn't it? Let's be real. But Frost, how are we getting on, man? Hopefully you're having a nice time. Vadim back down the inside of Rubes. That's not really what we want to be seeing here, unlapping himself. Ideally, not interfering with Rubes, especially in a position where Rubes is trying to fight for a position here. Thankfully, we do go back through, and the Yamaha's had all sorts of issues there. I'm not entirely sure what went wrong there. But he's had a strange occurrence, let's call it that. The gap between Aiden and Rubes then opens up between 2 seconds, or just shy of, between the two riders here. Rubes, sorry, is just coming into the back of shot here. You'll see him come down this back straight, I'm sure. And go around the corner. That's Rubes' bike that you saw for a fraction of a second. He's just here on the KTM, looking to try and close that gap right on down again. It's just 1 second between them now. Past some more lap down bikes once again. Tyler just became the unluckiest rider of all time. Oh dear. He's had some unlucky moments. Oh, hello, who was that? Absolutely no idea. I think it may have been Mixed. But if it was, that is an RIP moment. That's not something you walk away from, is it? Let's be real. Dear me. Anyways, looks like Jake and OT have had a little bit of a moment here. I think Jake went off and then got scared when he rejoined. Not entirely sure what happened there. Alrighty then, let's have a little peek back in with Tyler J, shall we? Currently holding on to P10, so back up there. Trying to find his way, of course, to the front half of the field, though, with just less than halfway to go, though. 7.5 minutes on the clock. He's got all sorts of traffic in front of him. Lap down bikes, position bikes, you name it. He goes down the inside of them all. Gets it done past both the Yamaha and the KTM. There's a nice recovery scrub there. Actually regained his pace. don't know if you saw that. A little bit of a case over the first jump. Got the bike all sorts of sideways. Managed to scrub it back over and resecured the security. Yeah, what a brain. That makes no sense. For now, though, Tyler J trying to climb back on to the P9 position. Or he's kind of holding on to the P9 position, climbing it to the back of the P8 position here. That's Jez on the privateer KTM. Trying to defend it for the moment. Tyler J has a bit of a tight squeeze to the inside, runs off slightly as a result. Whoa, and a huge Proposo ping. Just an unfortunate moment there, and also collecting Tomko. Certainly not super ideal, but there you go. That is part of online racing sometimes. For now, though, the racing leader remains to be Linz, and it is 17.8 seconds now between Linz and the P2 bicycle. So that's what we like to see indeed. Keeping up a very, very solid gap. Let's take a little look at the lap times. 52.8, so he's not uncatchable here at the moment. Definitely got some serious pace, but it's certainly not out of the charts just yet. Although, well, he's actually keeping a very solid pace compared to most of his competition. 52.4 there from Dill Pickle. Dill Pickle has actually got some pretty consistent pace there as well, but it's only roughly 0.4 of a second there faster than Linz over the course of a lap. Sorry for clicking about quite so much there, but we have to do the investigating. Great stuff here as Linz comes back up to the back of Jack Lowe and Jez. Tyler J will be around it somewhere. There he was in the back of the shot. FXR, G Fuel, Husqvarna then trying to keep himself nice and solid. Holding on to that very commanding lead. We'll see if he can maintain it. Still 5 minutes to go. Anything can happen. Of course, we're not trying to commentate as Gerson. It does happen. For now, though, Rubes then holding on for a P5 position. He's got himself a pretty comfortable position here between himself and Aiden and Breezy, ahead and behind. Looks like he's going to try and catch up with Aiden just up in front, though. Only a few seconds between them, roughly 5. And a few lap down bikes to chase in the meantime. K-Dog KTM having a bit of a tough time there. Rubes sacrifices his line to try and assess the damage. On the inside, gets it done, and a nice clean pass past the blue flag bike. Sorry. Dill, Pickle, and Maverick having a bit of a moment here. Not entirely sure what caused that. The MXBMR bike though back up and running, still P2, but that is a considerable time loss there. I'm sure that's going to affect the gap quite dramatically. 23.2 seconds there between himself and Linz. Very much moving though. Definitely not looking to try and hesitate any longer. You can see that 56-second last lap due to that incident. Other than that, mostly running 52s though. Which, let's be honest, is a very considerably fast pace. Especially as this track comes into the closing stages of the night and we get to start to see some proper road. Woohoo! Dill Pickle almost taking out the blue flag bike there, but thankfully it does go over him. Bit of a moment there though for the P2 bike. It's going to extend that gap between himself and the leader just a little bit more now. So Jay can lock it up next week if he doesn't lose more than 4 points to Hakon. Potentially, we shall see. I think Hakon's not even racing this week, is he? So he should be alright regardless. Yeah, Hakon's not here. See? Ba-da-da-da. Yeah, we shall see, we shall see. 4 now though. 3 minutes on the clock. A 26-second gap. That's a very hefty lead. He's lapped up to P5. Wild scenes. We've got Aiden here. Genocide on the Dill Pickle Racing KTM trying to close his way in. Of course, Jenna's unfortunately a couple of laps down now. Linz on another one. Linz is an absolute machine this evening. I think that's the first mistake I've seen him make all night. He has just been absolutely on top of his game here. 49.96 though is the fastest lap from Linz here so far. And one of the only ones to have even made it sub 50 here so far tonight. Tyler J at 51, Dill Pickle at 50.8, Jake at 50.6. Yeah, the only one dipping into those 49s here in the race. Got some serious pace, some fantastic consistency as evidenced by the times here. And you can see that minor mistake just giving him a couple of seconds lost here and there. But that's absolutely a splash in the bucket compared to the 25.5 second gap he's got between himself and Dill Pickle. He is having a very, very nice time indeed. The only guy that can stay on his bike. You just got to do it sometimes, you know. Consistency is the king. We say it week after week. Pace is a lot, but your consistency is what matters at the end of the day. Your pace means absolutely nothing if you can't keep doing it. Leeds have just kept that steady and very fast pace here this evening, which is the killer combo, really. Bit of a mistake there to go over the side of the table. A little bit of fatigue starting to get to him now. 1 minute on the clock now. Got to keep it dialed in. Couple of major mistakes and that could cost him the lead. For now though, Dill Pickle, 24.8 seconds. Changes to 26 there as we come up and over into the sand section. A tough time, that's going to cost him more time there. Callum on the Prestige KTM finds his way back underneath to unlap himself. Jake then, this is the fight for P2 now as the AJP KTM closes in onto the back of Dill Pickle and tries to punish that mistake. Just 1.8 seconds separate them as they went over that finish line. Jake closing up rapidly though through that first turn. Tyler's P5 Baz cuts. So he's P9. Or P8 rather. Yeah, he's currently battling Jez actually, so he's fighting out for the P5 position by the looks of things. Definitely not ideal if he's got the old cuts, especially if they're pushing him down that much. It looks like it's updated him now to P6. So it doesn't seem to be that dramatic. Hopefully he can maintain the position. Did broke out the entire track? Absolutely no idea. We will see, we will see. As per usual, anything too suspicious gets investigated, and let's be real. But he seems to be having a nice time so far. For now though, with just a couple of laps to go, Linz is trying to find his way through some back lap traffic. Dill Pickle and Jake still seem to be trying to have a bit of a fight between themselves. Dill Pickle, of course, trying everything within his power to not get into a fight, trying to keep himself nice and far ahead. It's not necessarily up to him, though. 51.6 is wild. Really is. People have got some serious times around these circuits. Some serious times, especially when we're talking about the final lap on which we will sit with Linz. Number 35, Husqvarna, who has kept a dominant lead. He pulled that whole shot just by like a quarter of a tyre length, I think. Absolutely ridiculously tight at the whole shot, but he managed to stretch that gap open and then just make almost no mistakes. Just a handful of tiny little miscalculations, but absolutely nothing that you can write down and put into being an actual proper mistake. Here we go though. Through the sand section for the final time here tonight for Linz. Down towards the final corner as we come towards our final little tabletop. Having a little bit of an issue there in the final corner, but it's not a big deal. We've got all the time in the world to make up for that. And across the line we come then for P1 here at Nashville. A fantastic win then for the FXR G Fuel Husqvarna. He's going to be very happy with that one. Dill Pickle then will secure P2, provided... Wait, no, he won't. Jake has got in front of him. Jake's had an issue, though. I'm so confused. Dill Pickle then, I believe, is back up into the P2 position. Not entirely sure what happened to those lads at the end, but you can see a lot of the lap down bikes just finishing the race now. That's what happens when you lap up to P4. Absolutely ridiculous riding here from Linz tonight. Dill Pickle then up and over the line we come for P2 on the board. And Jake on the AJP KTM will come home in the P3 position. Over the bars we go though. Just for good measure, I suppose. We'll just push the bike over, that'll be fine. P3, let's go. Lovely stuff. Your top 10 then, Linz, Dill Pickle, Jake, and then Aiden, Jez, Tyler J, P4, 5 and 6. Then we have Breezy, Dorian and Rubes, 7, 8 and 9, and Callum in that P10 spot. Let's have a little look at those fastest lap times. I think it was Linz. It was indeed with the 49.960 and a 50.6 from the next bike. So Linz was 7/10 faster than anyone and incredibly consistent here this evening. That's always what we like to see. For now though, we're going to have a